Hey, welcome to another episode of Catholic Momcast. Is it Catholic? It's Catholic Momcast, isn't it?
It is Catholic Momcast.
All right, in three, two, one. Welcome to another. Gee whiz, let's try that again, Bill. In three, two, one. Welcome to another episode of Catholic Momcast. I'm your host, Maria Johnson, and with me today is Allison Gingras. And girl, we just need a little time to catch up.
We do. I like
How
catch up time.
how have you been in terms of? I mean, I know how you are at work because we're colleagues, but how have you been this springtime? How have you been going into summer? There's a lot of things happening in your life. There's a lot of stuff happening in my life, and let's just talk a little bit about our vocations as wives and mothers. I think that it's good to talk about our busyness and busy
I think
seasons.
that's a fabulous idea. So I've been so for Lent, I tried to institute morning prayer. Like I love my coffee with Christ, and I'm kind of one of those people that goes kind of in and out of that kind of routine and devotion. And I really, it's important to give God the first fruits of your day. And one of the things that he really, when you give him time, by the way, he likes to enlighten you, which is good and bad. It's obviously very good, but sometimes what you hear isn't so easy to hear. And he's just been telling me I need to be a better steward of my health and the body and the temple that he's given me, the holy temple that I get to be, and by his grace, of my wealth, of which I use that word very loosely, and of my faith. Like, this is a gift that he's given me. And so I was doing the Holy Spirit novena as we come upon Pentecost as we record this. It'll be this Sunday. And I'm going through all the fruits of the Spirit, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, like, I have to be a better steward of all my gifts from God. So my life right now is really kind of taking a account of all those things and seeing where I'm at. So I've been busy, like, in my life, but also busy in my head.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. And I think that that's where a lot of wives and mothers live. I certainly do. We do. And
Yeah.
I love how the young people talk about having their agency and also talking about carrying the mental load for the family. And I think that it's certainly in my generation, but I see it in my younger friends, is that we as women are carrying a huge mental load, and taking that time for I hate to use buzzwords, when we talk about self care and mindfulness and stuff like that, where what we're really talking about is taking time to pray and taking time to reflect. And like you, I had a wacky Lent in that I thought that I was going to do a number of things, and I did absolutely nothing. And I think that
Sounds like a very for most of us.
yeah, I think that at the end of the day, what I needed to do was just to take a breather, to just go back to the basics. And I have found my spot in my home that is a good and quiet prayer area. I have two sets of windows, one that faces south and one that faces east, and it's so full of light. And it's just a perfect place to pray.
Can I make a confession? I know you can't absolve me from this. I really don't need absolution. It's just how life was when I was a young mom, when my kids were little. Do you know where my prayer place was? Was it?
I'm gonna. It could be the same place it was for me. Was it the bathroom?
Yes, my golly, it was. It was the only place they semi left me alone.
Uh,
So I would,
except the little fingers under the door, mommy.
yeah, that's even more fun when your kid is deaf and you can't yell back. You'll be right out, and they just keep knocking. Yeah, that was fun. But before we brought her home, um, yeah, I would like lock the door. To have a little basket next to and I'd sit on the toilet, not using it, just sitting there. And I would spend like 10-15 minutes reading my spiritual reading, and just, it was the only place I got time to myself. So I really, that makes me feel better that I'm the only one hiding out in the bathroom to get prayer time.
I used to pray. I used to pray in the shower before going to work because I was up so very early. And I thought, well, if I, I had to take, I had to get ready for work. And so that was really my quiet time. So I used to pray. I used to get a whole rosary in.
Wow, that's
Well,
a shower.
no, no, I'd start in the shower and then get dressed and put on
Okay.
makeup and all that stuff. So by the time I was, 20
Wow.
minutes, 20 minutes tops, but it was a quick rosary and a quick shower. Yeah, I used to do that because they wouldn't bother me. Number one, they weren't up.
Yeah.
Uh, so that was another thing. And I find even now when I have special projects, and my husband and I are now it's empty nesters. I feel like we've been empty nesters for so long. It's not accurate to call it that anymore. We're back to me and him. And sometimes, our mornings can get out of control because we have appointments. He has appointments. I'm a caregiver to him. So, he has a list of needs and things like that. So I find myself back to square one, waking up early and having that quiet time for me before I hear him stirring. And I don't know. I think it's a great way to start the day.
It is. My husband has his own office, and I talked him into putting a love seat in there and a little fake fireplace. And he leaves for work at 4 o'clock in the morning. So I
Wow.
made a little corner in there, and I love it because there's nothing in there that's mine except for he does let me keep my prayer books in there, my prayer book and my hair dryer. So um, there's nothing.
Priorities.
Right, totally, right? There's nothing in there to distract me, which was what my spiritual director told me to do. Like, find a
Yeah.
prayer place that, and when Danielle Bean was the host here of Catholic Momcast, we used to do we did a talk once about spiritual, like these little sacred places in our house, and I loved her advice, Maria. She talked about how she had like a coffee table, and in the drawer of the coffee table were her, like, a statue, a crucifix, a Bible, a candle, like just the things she needed for her prayer time, a journal. And she would take it out and set it up on the table. And her family knew in that moment, if they walked in and mom's little accoutrement was out on the table, that was prayer time. And it was like this beautiful visual for her children for two reasons. One, they would see it and know not to bug mom. And she said, for the most part, they were really respectful of that. Unless somebody was bleeding or the house was on fire, which is what moms always say, like, unless those two things are happening, I don't want you to bug me during this time. But also a beautiful example, like a role model to her children to see, wow, this is such an important part of mom's life, that she's made this special place and that they see her doing this as part of her daily or her normal routine. So I always thought that was really amazing advice.
Oh, that's a good one. I
Yeah.
do have my coffee table next to my recliner in the living room, and for the most part, nobody is going to bother me. But I have my Bible there, and I have a journal, and I have a statue of Padre Pio right to my left, out there in the living room, and I have one of those beautiful little plaques of Our Lady of Guadalupe.
Oh,
And so I feel like I have my little corner there. But it wasn't always like that. I wish that I had known about the setting up this portable little altar because, man, it
such a good
beats
idea.
it beats being in the bathroom.
I want to go back to something you said earlier about going back to now just being you and your husband. I remember in pre-Cana classes 30 something years ago, 36 years ago, the best advice that I took away from that, like I have never forgotten this, is that to always keep working on your marriage throughout your marriage, because someday it will be you and him again. Like, this is the one thing that's going to stay constant. The
That's
children
right.
will come, they'll go, but when you've raised your children and the last one moves out, it's really important to wake up that next day and look at that person next to you and go, "Oh, I remember you, not who are you?"
I remember we enjoyed our time together. Yeah, it is very special. It is very special to recapture that. And it was hard at first too, because you were used to always running. He had his whole set of things that he had to take care of. I had my whole set of things that I had to take care of. And they never really crossed paths because we were actually just, what do you call it, dividing and conquering. And so it's been lovely to just reconnect and pick up on some of the things that we used to do that we enjoyed doing, and have found some new things that that also bring us some joy.
So let's
Uh,
talk about back the then. So we both have got to this point where our kids are older and we still like our husbands. We still love spending time with
oh, I
them, right?
didn't say that. Wait, hold on now.
For the most part, right? But, I know that Kevin and I, throughout our marriage, have always made our marriage a priority. When the kids were little, we would have date night when they went to bed with a picnic on the floor in the living room. Like we would maybe get a little snack or eat dinner after, or get some like sneak Chinese food, which they'd find the cartons the next day and get furiated. What did you and Daddy do last night? We had Chinese food without you. There, that's what we said. We'd watch it. We'd pick a movie that obviously you can't all like. We got sick of watching all the Blues Clues and all the Disney movies with the kids. We'd actually pick up a grown up movie, and enjoy that, or we would just sit with a cup of tea or a glass of wine and catch up. And we still to this day, at least once a week, make it because we still have two kids living here, even though they're grown. We will take the time to kick everybody out and get that glass of wine or that cup of tea and catch up. Like, how are you doing this week? What's going on with your life? And I think these are low cost things that
Oh yeah.
families with any age children can do. And they're super important. Talk about everything, like not just your finances and your health or your work, but also talk about things of faith. Talk about how your faith life is doing, and
Mhm.
your prayer life. I think those are also really important things to talk about with your spouse.
Oh, absolutely. We did something similar. We had on Friday nights, we had something that we called pallet night. And the kids would make a little pallet in the living room, and we'd move the furniture, and we would watch a family-friendly movie. We'd order pizza, or oh, actually it was I would make pizza rolls.
Oh, yum.
And have you seen those memes of the kids that go, "Mom made pizza rolls," and
No, I have not.
these these people are grown adults living far and wide, and when they come home for a holiday or for a visit, I always have a bag of pizza rolls in the freezer, and I'll put it out at night, and they'll go, "Mom made pizza rolls." So I hope so I
What
hope that's carried
pizza
over to
roll?
the grandchildren.
Wait a minute. I was thinking here you are like slaving, making your own little tiny pizza rolls. I'm like, I've heard of those pizza rolls. I
What are
just
you
thought
talking about? No, these are the 3.99 special,
those just burn your mouth the minute you bite into them.
the lava.
They're little, yes, right. They're little pockets of lava.
So our kids were too young, I think, and we were in a city far away from family that we didn't really have babysitters that were readily available. And so we would do the family night on Friday night, and they'd fall asleep. They were young, and so by 9 or 10 o'clock, until they were getting a little older and trying to stay awake, struggling to stay awake. But we did that for a long time, and that was the date that we would have, and it just included the children, and we went out for many anniversary dinners and brought the children. So I hope that they also had a concept of that they were part of something big, and that it wasn't just mom and dad, but family. And so we did that for many, many years. And then by the time that they could be left alone, or frankly, let's talk about that, the high school years when they were all in 83 different activities.
Yes.
um, sometimes John and I would have what we call parking lot dates, and we've gone back to that. And we've gotten back to that because it's kind of nostalgic and it's also easy.
Oh, okay.
But we'll go get whatever terrible fast food is available. And this is what our MO is. We'll go through the drive-through and order the food, and then park in the same restaurant's parking lot and eat it in the car.
I've done that. I don't have a problem with that because I don't always like getting up. I just want to
Oh
be
my gosh.
uncomfortable, or it's cold, or it's rainy.
Or you don't want to put on nice shoes or
Right. Or
change your
take it off.
pants.
That's fine. Change That's what drive-throughs are for.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, but those are all great opportunities for bonding and for catching up and for the time that is necessary for relationship.
Yeah. Relationships are hard.
Yeah. Yeah. So how many years have you been married?
35.
Wow, wow, wow.
We've been together for 40. We were high school sweethearts. He was my junior prom date and my senior prom date. And then, yeah, no one else came around. So I just said, all right, you're it. My kids will say to me, "Mom, why did you?" Because he can be just a brat to me sometimes, and not like he just likes to tease me. That's just his personality, and he can drive me crazy. And they're like, "Mom, why did you marry him?" And I'll say, "Because no one else asked."
Oh, Allison.
Hey, I'm an honest woman. I really do. I do like him. I just don't tell him that I like him.
Oh my. Well, we've been married for 40 years and friends for 48. So
Nice.
I met him when I was in high school. And he's a little bit older than me. So we kind of hung around in the same circles for a long time. And it wasn't until my early 20s and about his mid 20s that we were like, oh, well, maybe there's something here. Maybe we should get married.
Wow,
Um,
that's beautiful.
so it's been a lovely ride. Bumpy sometimes, but absolutely lovely.
Yes. And I think it's good for your kids to see, like, I like that you included them in your date night and like kept them around for things, right? Because the other advice that I received when I was a young mom was that if you fight in front of your kids, make up in front of your kids. Like,
Mm,
they need to see conflict resolution, right? They need to see that it's not perfect, so they don't
right.
grow up thinking your marriage is like this idyllic thing, that nothing bad, like mom and dad are just, they never get angry, so that when they get in their first relationship and they get upset or angry, like, so it's sometimes just inevitable, right? You're going to get angry and you might have a fight in front of your children. But that was such good advice that I got from my friend's mom. Like, if you fight in front of them, make up in front of them, let them see you work it out, learn to apologize, learn to
That's key.
say it, like, not just say I'm sorry, but really, speak it. I mean, obviously some stuff, you have to keep,
Right.
from, but the general idea of, even if we made up behind the scenes, we would in front of the kids make sure we had that conversation of, I'm really sorry, um, you know, and admitting to the things that we did or said that were harmful or hurtful, so that, you're this great role model for. And my son is getting married in July, and he says that to us, that he's like, really helped me to get into a healthy relationship because of the model that you were. And then I was like, well, then my job is done, because it was really not a healthy relationship at the time, but as long as you think so, my work here is finished. Check.
Well, I think it's part of the graces of the sacrament of marriage, I think. And especially when you are young, because I was very young. I was right out of college when I got married and I had just turned 22. And so it's like we grew up together in many regards. And certainly I didn't the skills that I had, the communication skills that I had at 22 and now were very, very different.
Yeah.
And so certainly relying on the graces of the sacrament, even when we didn't know it. It's funny. I say now, oh, I think we finally have a sacramental marriage. I think I finally get it. Like all the pieces clicked, but it always was, and I think it's important to know that too.
I have a friend, God rest her soul, Anne Marie Basset, who used to play with her ring, her wedding band. And one day I was like asking her, "Why are you playing with that?" And she said, "Because it's a sacramental of my marriage, right? It's a sacrament. Sacramentals are images or anything that reminds us or tied to a sacrament. They remind us of the sacramental grace. They don't bring grace, but they remind us of that. And of course, our marriage is, as you said, filled with grace." So she said I would play with it, and it would remind me how much I loved my husband, the grace of the marriage, and help me not kill him. But of course, she was teasing. But she's like, it was just such a great way to, again, take her emotions and her feelings and remember that that she's not alone, that
Mhm.
it's her, her husband, and God
Right.
are all part of this union, and whatever they're going through, whatever disagreements or troubles they were having, that they were never alone. And it always gave her such great strength. And I never thought of my wedding ring like that until I met that beautiful woman.
Oh, what a beautiful story to share. Yeah, I love it, and I have, I feel like in my family, I have the beautiful legacy of my grandparents, wonderful example, and my own parents' wonderful example, and I remember when my grandfather passed away, my dad took his wedding ring and wore it, and, uh, and then when my dad passed away, I because they were my godparents, I asked my mom, could I have that ring? And I don't wear it often because it's so precious to me, and also I have my own beautiful wedding wedding rings. But, as a it is kind of a tangible reminder of the legacy too, of how our parents, how our grandparents teach us, and, this is something that I really think about now that I'm a grandmother, and is that, my kids sometimes laugh at me and say, "Oh, yeah, you're doing things with them that you didn't do with us," and I said, "That's right." You know why? Because I'm not worried about the 48 other things that are running through your head right now, and I can just spoil these kids, and it's not spoiling them, it's being able to engage with them on a very, very personal and focused level. They know that they have 100% of my attention when they're with me.
Made me just think of an article I was just reading by Jake Frost on Catholic Mom, and he was talking about summer vacation he took with his family, and he went back to a place that his family went to when he was a child, and he kind of was thinking like I'm going to go and I'm going to relive this memory, but then he realized the best part of the vacation was yes sharing with his children what he had done there, but it was creating those new memories in those
Right.
places that he loved so much. And I thought, at first I was reading the article thinking, oh my gosh, I've never done that with my children. And then I had an aha moment. It had been so long. There's a place in New Hampshire that it's called Santa's Village, and it's Christmas 24/7 with like these really fun Christmas themed rides, and Santa is there, and it's just a really yummy cookies. It's just a really fun place. And then Storyland is in the next town over, and that is all based around nursery rhymes with rides and characters. And so every year as a child, my family would go to these two places in New Hampshire for the weekend. And then when my husband, it's the same thing with his family. It's just the kind of the go-to New England thing to do, especially in the 70s and the 80s. And we brought our children, the boys when they were little. Then the first trip we took with our daughter after we adopted her was to go to these two special places.
Wow.
And yeah, it's so beautiful to go back and share those special places with your children. And then God willing, I hope someday I get to do the same thing with our grandchildren. Maybe think of it when you were talking about your sweet little grandbabies.
That's right. Well, making new memories. Well, what a great place to end there then, to go forth and make some good memories this summer and these coming months. Well, thanks, Allison. Thanks for joining us. And thank you, listeners, for joining us for another episode of Catholic Momcast. And we'll be back again next week. God bless.